So, hello everybody. It is me, Demetra K. It says I've been live for 30 seconds. I hope not, because I said a bad word. But anyway, I hope you all are doing well on this New Year's Day. I know some people don't really celebrate New Year's for whatever reason. They say it's not really the New Year, whatever. But if that's your thing, that's your thing. You celebrate whatever you want. But anyway, I'm saying Happy New Year. So, of course, this is the Demetra K Show where we promote Black love, knowledge, and understanding of all things that go on in the Black community to make us an even better people with the emphasis on even, because we are a great people, but we can always strive to do better. As you can see, I am here by myself today. Donovan is still out there in those streets. Hello, Robin. In those streets partying. So I'm going to man the ship today. But I should also say a big giant welcome to YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and anywhere else this is being watched. You are the other side of the conversation. Not only are you just viewers, let me take this pillow, it looks ridiculous. You are participants, because I do read I try to anyway, each and every one of your comments, questions, or concerns, because this is a very interactive show. So it's not going to be me doing all the talking. I am going to, in the roundabout way, be talking to you as well. So today, of course, we are going to be talking about that of the Rosewood Massacre. It is 100 years ago that it took place to this date. And so, of course, I want to have that conversation with you all, and then, talk about some things for the new year, some things that we maybe can stop doing or start doing. As far as the new year is concerned, there is these things called New Year's resolutions. A lot of people make them, some people don't. A lot of people don't stick to them, especially today or tomorrow. Rather, I would assume the gyms are going to be busting at the seams with people wanting to do better, physically speaking. And so, same old, right? So, hello, Moni. How are you doing? It says, I wish you had your beautiful. Listen, I had the lipstick on the other day. I don't know where you were. The podcast that Donovan and I did, I had it on, but you say you should keep that always. It's your signature natural look. No thanks. Just don't be honest. It's 2023. Love, Donovan, my brown sugar boo. Happy, wonderful new year. Yes, indeed. Again, Donovan is in those streets. So I'll just give a couple more minutes for people to come on. I realize it is a holiday, so we may not have that many people. Hey, Moni, by the way, have you seen the Pioneer? Where is the Pioneer? He has been missing in action. Where is that man? Jan Michael, how are you doing? You say, hey, greetings, happy new year, and continuous prosperity. And same to you, same to you. So anyway, I'll go ahead and get into it. I don't know how long I'll be on here. I always say I'm not going to be on here that long, and then I end up being on here that long. So we're going to see today. Anyway, of course, 100 years ago, the Rosewood Massacre took place. Rosewood is in Central Florida. It took place 100 years ago, as I said. Well, a lot of people might be wondering, what is the Rosewood Massacre? Hello, Yanni. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you as well. So the Rosewood Massacre was a situation that took place in a predominantly Black town, right? Now, this town had about 350, give or take, people in the town, as I said, predominantly Black. Now, what happened was on January 1st, 1923, a white woman by the name of Fannie Taylor, 22-year-old white woman. If you guys have seen the movie by John Singletary, hello, Eli, how you doing? By John Singletary. And he did a wonderful job, I would say, and RIP to him, highlighting what happened in the movie. But anyway, a white woman by the name of Fannie Taylor said that she was, sexually assaulted and beaten up by a Black man. So a neighbor actually heard her, screaming and things like that. Now, when the neighbor ran into the house, they only saw Fannie, the white woman, and her baby. They didn't see anyone else in the house. Now, she's saying, Black man came through the back door, and he, she at first denied or said he didn't, rape her. But then word spread that he did. It was kind of like a rumor mill type of thing. So anyway, when it came out, other neighbors was like, nah, we saw a white man. It was a white man that was working in the town, run out of there. And so the other word is that was her lover, because her husband, James, was off working somewhere. And that this side piece, I guess it was, he actually got mad at her and beat her up. And so she, I guess, needed to explain why she was beaten up that way. So she blamed it on a black man. All right. So word spread throughout the town. They went and got her husband and said, "Oh my God, your wife has been, sexually assaulted and beaten by a black man." Of course, he then got a mob together of angry white men, and the mob grew. They got white men from all different types of other towns, because the white town Sumner was about 3 miles from Rosewood. So they got the white men from Sumner and all the other towns near. And they said at the time the mob was at its fullest, it was about 500 white angry men, police officers, and a lot of the other men that weren't police officers, they were deputized by the sheriff. He deputized as many as he could. Of course, the KKK was, at its peak. It had really started to get at its peak in 1915. So remember, this is 1923. It's really doing its thing. So had all these angry white men going into Rosewood, and they're snatching people out of their houses. They one particular man by the name of Aaron Carrier, I believe his name was Aaron. They saw him, and they believe that he, along with other people, were hiding Jesse Hunter. That's the guy that they accused of doing it, Jesse Hunter, because it sounds like he had escaped from a chain gang or something like that. So they accused Aaron of hiding Jesse. And so what they did was they got Aaron, they beat him up and tied him to the back of a car, and they dragged him all the way to the jail. And then, they lynched and shot and just, murdered all kind of black men along the way, trying to find Jesse Hunter. They finally caught up with one gentleman by the name of Sam Carter, and they forced him to admit, "Oh my God, okay, I hid Jesse Hunter. Let me take you and show you where he is. He wasn't there." So somebody in the angry mob got mad and, shot him in his face. They then lynched him, by the neck, and then took his belongings as souvenirs. And then, of course, they went all, continued to go crazy. And so then they ended up at a woman by the name of Sarah Carrier's house. Now, y'all might have remember her in the movie where Esther Roll actually played her character, and she ended up getting shot in the head by the angry mob. Well, in her house, it said that she was hiding about 25 other black people who were just scared, right? Because can you imagine all this is going on? So she's hiding all these people, and the angry mob was like, "We know y'all know where Jesse is." Where now, mind y'all, these white men knew that Fanny was lying, but they were bloodthirsty, right? They were just looking for a reason, as they did in Black Wall Street and all the other black towns. They were just looking for a reason to set it off. So they accused her of hiding Jesse Hunter, and they're like, we don't have him, which they never did have him. So once they shot her, they shot into the house, shooting many people in the house, killing lots of people. They even said, and I don't want to be gory, you guys, but I want you guys to get the gist of exactly, kind of what happened. A child was, shot in the eye, and just so a lot of the other people who survived, they ran out of the back of the house, they hid, and they were, shooting them as they were running to hide. And it was just a lot, right? So it is said that this massacre took place for like 7 days. 7 days, from January 1st to January 7th, when it first started. And then on the last day, those white men, where there was nobody left in the town, they went in and burnt everything else except the house that was owned by the white man who owned the General Mills store. Because remember, there was a white guy who owned a store in the town. So they didn't burn his house. And to this day, that house is still there. It is the only thing left of Rosewood. Now it's just a strip of land that's off the highway there in Central Florida. But there's been a dispute as to how many people actually died. Some people are saying, "Oh, it was only 6 people, not a big number," right? But of course, some people are saying it was probably 100 to 150 people, mostly black people that were, now I say innocent black people that were murdered due to the lies of a white woman who was probably just with her boyfriend, and he, roughed her up, and she needed to explain what happened. And so y'all know, even to this day, we hear of, white women saying, "Oh, and then, all hell breaks loose. And so it should also be said that no one was ever held accountable for what they did to Black people in Rosewood and what they did to the town of Rosewood. Now, of course, there is a plaque there, like a memorandum of, Black people used to live here type of thing. And I think only about the survivors, because this story had really went away up until like the 1980s or so. People really had just forgotten. Well, I guess kind of forgot about it, didn't talk about it, because they said even the survivors, which were like 80s and then in the 90s, their 80s and 90s at that time, they said a lot of them just didn't talk about it anymore. In fact, none of them went back. They just kept running with what they had on their backs. Now, it should be said, if you guys saw the movie, there was a train that came by and picked up the women and the children. Well, that train was owned by two white brothers who would often do business with the Black people in Rosewood. And so they had gotten word of what happened. And so they drove the train by really slowly and honking the horn, whatever it was, letting them know, hey, jump on. But they couldn't take the men because they was like, well, if we take the men and then the white mom find out, then, it's going to be worse or whatever. They'll kill the children. They'll kill us. So they had to leave the men behind. But again, millions of dollars, especially if you count it up today, is immeasurable of what was lost there. So again, no retribution, reparations, or anything for those people at all. And again, the white people got away with it, but that was started just out of pure hate, jealousy, evilness. And this is the crazy part. They said on the last day, they went up into the church and burnt the church. The last day they burnt the last church, because Rosewood had 3 churches. I think one was white, 2 was Black. I don't know if the white one's still standing, but they burnt the church. Now, mind you, the KKK, white supremacy and all them, they're supposed to be big time Christians, but the last thing they went in there is burnt up a church where people worship. So that ought to tell us a lot, right? So anyway, let's have a discussion about Rosewood, really just paying homage to, our ancestors there who were just minding their Black business. And they had to, right? It was Jim Crow, segregation, had the Black codes. There was a lot going on then. And so they had to be segregated, right? But the fact that they were thriving, white people just couldn't stand it. The white evil people then couldn't stand it. I want to say this before I get into the comment section, because I want to read every comment. Y'all, what y'all think they relatives are? Their offspring. Think their offspring went away? You think their offsprings are just, it's still mingling around us? Y'all think that once those white men did what they did, and I know y'all don't think that, but I'm just kind of, speaking out loud. Once those white men did what they did, they said, oh, we're not going to be racist anymore. We're not gonna do those things anymore. Do y'all think they taught that to their children, and then their children taught that to their children? Because I know somewhere in Florida, or those and people who are ancestors to those demons that did that, I know somewhere they sit around and tell the story. I bet you they're telling the story right now. Well, your great Uncle Bob and them, they went into Rose. Y'all know they telling that story today. So when y'all think of New Year's, y'all think of Rosewood, the Rosewood-Massacre. So anyway, let's see what y'all got to say. And again, Donovan is not here because he was partying all night last night, and so he'll be back next Sunday. Let's see. Yes, it is, Eli. It is 2023, and I know it's going to take me a couple of days to get used to that, right? And so Moni says, I'm amazed, Demetra. Mercury is retrograde, and some signature people have died. One of the Pointer sisters, I heard that. Yeah, RIP to her, died today at 74 years old, the same age as my mom. The Pope died. Amazing. The Pope died too? Did the Pope die today? Okay. AJ, how are you doing? Long time no see. And Copper Color Beauty, how are you? Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you. And you know what? My content would not be what it is without y'all. So I appreciate y'all. Moni, you also say so. Demetra, you don't get angry. The real New Year starts at the end of the month, which would be the year of the rabbit, representing Pisces in the Oriental astrology, represents double water Pisces. Now, I'm going to get mad for. Does it really matter when the New Year starts? I'm just asking because, I guess for some people it does. For me, it really doesn't. I mean, we need to grind whatever day it is, right? So, but yes, a lot of people are saying it's not today; it's some other day. Some people are saying it's in spring. So I don't know. You also say I wasn't even born then. My grandmother will be 99 this year. Oh wow. He says in July, so July through August will be a special time for us. But at the same time, I must say this was horrible and demonic of these people. Very horrible and demonic. And they just did it like it was nothing. And they knew that lady was lying. They knew she was a strumpet. But yet they was like, oh, well, because one of the KKK's mottos was, basically protect womanhood, white womanhood. And so they did that under the rules of, oh, well, we got to go protect white women from these wayward Negroes, right? LL, how are you doing? Says, hey, Demetra, happy new year. And big hugs to you. Thank you. I appreciate that. Fat son, how are you doing? And Moni, so you're talking to Eli. And Super Patriot, what's going on with you? You say, Jesus. He says, it's real life. They did this millions of times. Yeah, and they have. I mean, so Rosewood is just one of many. But, this just happened to be the 100-year anniversary. And, we talk about Rosewood, but we don't talk about it as much as Black Wall Street or any of the other situations. There was one in Texas. Forgive me, I forget the massacre because they have the word massacre behind the town's name, but there's so many of them, right? And we honestly could be talking about the 100-year anniversary for a lot of them, because Rosewood wasn't not Rosewood, but Wall Street. Black Wall Street wasn't that long ago. I think they had their 100th year anniversary, if I'm not mistaken. And Bobby, how are you doing? Michael, what's going on with you? Happy New Year to you as well. And Black Lion, how are you doing? My day is going well. I cannot complain. And yes, Super Patriot says they are right here. Yeah, they haven't gone anywhere. They have, raised children and everybody else to believe the same thing. Now, some people say, well, no, not everybody. People can change. It's like, they can change, but like I don't know how I would feel about coming from a people that did that to a people. You know what I mean? It'd be kind of hard for me to get peace knowing that I was related to somebody who had no problem. And not to mention the Black women, some of the Black women there, though those white men had their way with those women. They took the opportunity to not only, do a massacre, but they found time to get up under the clothes of the sisters who were already horrified. You know what I mean? So, and Karosi, I hope I said that right. How you doing, Karosi Mom? He says, it's the same people of today in America. Yep. They just look different now, right? They ain't burning crosses, I don't think, and, riding around with hoods on. They got police uniforms on and stuff. And Michael says, 2023 is not different from 500 years and counting. I wouldn't know. I wasn't there. Edwin, how are you doing? See, I saw the movie Rosewood in 1995, and it was a very powerful movie. Yes, you know what? It's funny because I was in the movie. I went with my mom and her best friend, and my mom's best friend, she could not contain herself. She kept jumping up, and she was like, oh, hell no. She kept on wanting to leave the movie. And as I remember her doing that, it just brings back memories as of how hard it really was to watch that movie in the theater. And John Singleton, he did an excellent job depicting what happened to the point of people just wanting to jump out of their seats with anger, right? Brother Don, how are you? Happy New Year to you. Jessica Jackson, what's going on? He says, Happy New Year, Demetra K. Yes. Super Patriot says that people look like Palatine. Do tell. And same to you, Edward. And Mike, how are you doing? Brother Jonelle, long time no see. How are you doing? Facts, not feelings. What's going on with you? He says, peace and love, family. Rosewood and Black Wall Street should be rebuilt. I'm willing to donate money to it. I totally agree. But you know what? Yeah, I guess we should, because, we as Black people spend money on a lot of stuff. We should help with that. But that should come from the government. I should also say that the governor back then, forget his name, Hardin or something like that, in 1923, he was going to call the National Guard, but then the sheriff was like, oh no, I got it under control. Now, I should say, from what they're saying, the sheriff was, hiding black people and trying to get black people out of there. He sounded like he couldn't really contain the mob. But he did tell the governor, don't send the National Guards. We got it under control. And the governor was like, oh, okay, if you say so. And then the governor went hunting or something. He went on vacation. As black people were being murdered, he left, didn't think, well, let me go on and just kind of check it out, make sure you good. So the governor was like, well, if you say so. But they said he only got involved after it started to spread to, throughout the nation that, y'all hear what they doing in Rosewood? Now, mind you, it's 1923, so it wasn't like social media. It was like newspapers and maybe, I don't know, Telegram or whatever they had back then, but, it was kind of slow. And Michael says it is systemic after 500 years. Okay, got you. Yep, yes, indeed. And Mikey say in Wilmington, North Carolina. So yeah, we can be here forever talking about all of the massacres that took place. And AJ says, hey, I'm doing good. Life has been busy, but can't complain. Yep, I grind all year long. Thanks for talking about this. I didn't know it was 100 years for Rosewood. Today is Haitian Revolutionary Day. Oh, wow. I wish I would have known that. Then I did a little bit more research, but maybe you could tell us. Yes, Michael Slocum. That's the one that's in Texas. I don't know if the 100-year anniversary has come or not. I think it was. Maybe it did, or is getting ready to. It was like 1926 or something like that. And Super Patriot says the Pope looked like Palpatine from Star Wars. I don't know nothing about that. And Jonelle says our empowerment is in the support of our business ideas, brands, and investing in our own visions and visionary minds. Yes, indeed. And that's the page we really need to be on for this year. I mean, even last year and the year before that, but really, we really need to be on that, empowering ourselves, right? And Mikey says their numbers are dwindling. That's why they are scared now. Absolutely. I totally agree with you. And y'all saw what they did with the legislation last year. And we got to get used to saying last year, right? Even though it's January 1st. With the anti-abortion laws. You see what they did there? They're going to force women to have babies, whether we agree with it or not. That's the legislation that they, put on the books via the Supreme Court, right? And Jessica says there are catastrophes like Rosewood that also justify reparations. Yeah, so when you hear people say, oh, well, y'all don't deserve reparations, or they'll say stuff like, oh, that was so long ago. You think about it in the larger scheme of things, 100 years ago is really not that long ago. I mean, hell, I'm 51 years old. You know what I mean? So that's not really that long ago. And so a lot of times when people think about reparations, they think about slavery. Oh, slavery was so long ago. It was in the 1800s. And when it ended, you guys weren't even there then. But it's like, what about all the massacres? What about all that land and property and life that was stolen, in the 1900s? What about that? Shouldn't that get some reparations? Now, they did say, I guess, some of the survivors got paid like $2 million or something like that. A drop in the bucket. And they were like in their 80s and 90s, right? And then some education stuff. Same old nonsense, right? And AJ says 100, sis. These folks are demons. Yes, indeed. And Super Patriot said exactly. And Dorothy, how are you doing? He says, we are not to celebrate the new year. It is pagan. Do the research and you will see. So yeah, I have seen a lot about that. That's why I was saying, some people are saying don't celebrate it today, or, here, there. I just feel like I don't do holidays per se, but, people want to do it. I won't, hold it against them because it ain't coming out of my pocket. And Truemonger, how are you doing? It says, isn't the word anniversary more associated with celebrating something? Since this was domestic terrorism, shouldn't it technically be referred to as remembrance? I like that. I totally agree with you. Well, I guess I can get where you're going. Anniversary just really means a year. So yeah, but I guess you're right. Typically, when people think about an anniversary, it's more like a celebration. But you're right, it should be a remembrance. So I actually do like that word better. And Yanni says, we lost family during the Colfax riot, and they covered it for years. Now they have taken down the monument because of shame. Wow. That is crazy. And then The fact that you say riot, that's exactly what they liken a lot of all the massacres to, right? A race riot. But it's like, to say that it was a race riot to me almost sounds like, well, black people were willing participants. You know what I mean? It takes to me all the onus off of the white people who just simply were jealous and just did what they did. But when you say a riot, it just kind of to me sounds like they were both participants willingly, right? The black people are just like, well, I mean, if it's gonna go down, it's gonna go down, but we don't want to have to do this. But okay, Tawana, how are you doing? Says I will never trust those people. For good reason. And Mikey says Lake Lanier in Georgia. Yep, we could be here forever. There's so many of them. Only Pamela's Way. How are you doing? Says hello, Sister Demetra K. Happy New Year. Happy New Year to you as well. Same to you, Mike. And AJ says I saw Rosewood movie when I was 20. That movie had me pissed off in tears. Yeah, I'm telling you, it had a riveting effect on people. In the movie. I mean, my mom's friend, she could hardly contain herself. I was like, damn, is she gonna be able to finish the movie? And it was hard to watch, don't get me wrong. It was just that they was going through so much, right? And it's just like, when you see something like that on the movie, you're like, now how much of this is real? But then when you really study, it's like, yeah, John was pretty spot on with his depiction of Rosewood. And Jessica says Don Cheadle, yep, played in Rosewood. I saw that movie too back in the day. Cheadle and Esther Rowe did an excellent job. Yes, I think he played the son Sylvester Carrier, which in real life, Sarah, which was Esther's role, Sylvester and Aaron, I think they were her sons. They were all murdered. And I think they said, don't get me lying, but one of them, I don't know if it was Sylvester, and I think they kind of depicted that in the movies, or maybe somebody, they made him dig his grave and then they murdered him and then, put him in there. And True Margaret says, happy new fiscal year. Okay. And Mike says Seneca Village in New York. Yep. And that's crazy because, a lot of times when you think about New York, the North or whatever, people think, oh, it's just so flourishing there. People could just go and be themselves. And, there wasn't no Jim Crow or slavery or anything like that. It was like, yeah, they had it too, just maybe not as prevalent as the South, but it was still there, right? And let's see here. Super Patriot says, my mom can't watch those movies, makes her crazy. Yeah, some of them I just can't watch either. People have been telling me to watch Emancipation with Will Smith. People are saying it's good, but I'm one of those people like, what? I'm kind of tired of being traumatized because I get mad too when I watch that stuff. And so I was like, do I really want to watch it? I don't know if y'all seen Emancipation. What do you guys think? And Mike, you say Red Summer in 1921. So keep them coming because there's so many of them, right? Yep. Okay, so Michael, you say Slocum was in 1910. So the 100th year anniversary's been past, or remembrance, we should say, has passed already. And I keep saying that I want to visit Slocum and see, because like the Shrine of the Black Madonna, I think it is here in Houston, they talk about that, but I actually would like to go and see if there's something there that I can study and see. I don't know. Y'all tell me. Albie, how are you doing? And Michael, you say, Demetra, I understand why cash reparations would be a challenge for African-American descendants of slavery because white people, Asians, Hispanics, and Jews would experience reverse discrimination. Well, do tell. I'm interested in that theory. What do you mean by that? And Micah says the new is in March. So you're saying that's when the new year is, March? And Albie says, I celebrate life 100. That's what I'm talking about. And Brother Jonell says Savior's Day 2023 is in Chicago. For more information, I'll put that up here. That's the 26th, right? February 26th. I wanted to go, but it seemed like I always have something else to do on that day. But I would like to go. I'm going to go one day, and I want to meet you. And Only Pamela's Way says, exactly. What about isms is what they do all when it comes to reparations for us. We deserve reparations. Yeah, exactly. Oh, it wasn't my family, and you weren't there, and why should I have to pay? It's like, well, because you still benefiting from your ancestors, who did all of that stuff, right? A lot of these, like sometimes when I pass by these big, giant estates, and I see maybe white people there, and I'm like, now how much of that was from slavery? I bet $1 to a donut you in that house due to some slavery money. I think that when I see that, and I probably am not that far off, especially being in Texas, you know. Uh, so Super Patriot says, I'm celebrating. Okay, and Trumonger says the real New Year is in the spring. So yes, I have heard that as well. Mike says, oops, the New Year is in March. Now I knew what you meant. And Terrence, how are you doing? Says, thanks, sis, for all you do. By the way, Happy New Year. Same to you. Says, there is a book titled Sundown Towns, which details all of the cities these horrors took place. P.S. I saw you dancing. You are so sexy. Oh, thank you. You know what? I actually want to get that book. This year I am going to really, 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 really ramp up my reading. So I do want to read that. And, you know, a lot of times people say, oh, you don't need to read that. It's, you know, what's in the past is going to make you sad. No, we need to read that kind of stuff. We need to know history. We need to know what happened to our people and why it happened. I mean, we kind of know why, but we need to know why, right? Like, so I definitely want to get that book. Facts Not Feeling says it was a massacre, not a riot. Yeah, because when I was reading about it, you know, and I've seen a lot of them say, you know, race riots. It's like, I think that's disingenuous to call it a riot, because that means that they were willingly kind of like fighting with each other. That's kind of what I envisioned. And we know that wasn't the case, right? Our people were minding their business. And, you know, a white woman, which it sounds like she lived there in the town too. Wasn't that many white people, but it sounds like her and her family lived there, her husband and her baby. So it's like, what you doing over there? Why wasn't you in Sumner with the white folks? Now, Sarah Carrier, she was her, I guess, laundress, did her laundry and stuff, but she happened to be off that day. But her and a couple other women was like, yeah, we saw a white man run up out of there, you know, and then she started to scream. So they basically called her a liar, which the white men didn't like, you know, that there was an eyewitness to her lying, and they just did what they did anyway, right? Super Patriot says, I celebrate Christmas and New Year for whatever reason. Well, you know, nobody's gonna make you not do it, right? It's to each his own. You should do what makes you happy. And Mike says, Hitler said he learned torture from the U.S. Yes, I did hear that. And Super Patriot says, I also love Halloween. You know, I like the time of year for Halloween. I like the movie Halloween. Some people like, oh, it's evil, it's this, it's that, it's this. It's like, you know, do what you want to do. I personally don't partake in holidays because it is, you know, very paganistic to do so, but I don't knock people who do, right? Albie says, when I first saw Mississippi Burning, yes, about Medgar Evers, that was a hard one to watch. All of them are hard to watch, right? I mean, you got to think about it too. Back in the 90s, when those movies were coming out, they were kind of watered down, right? So most of y'all have seen Django, right? Django was by Quentin Tarantino. What's his name? Jamie Foxx and all that were in the movie. So when Quentin made the movie, Spike Lee and a couple other people were mad, right? They're like, you know, he's a white man. He shouldn't be making this movie. And Quentin, I'm a Quentin Tarantino fan. I'm just put it out there. He says, you're right. I shouldn't be making this movie. He says, you guys should have made this movie. He says, but you know what you guys make? He said, you make stuff like Roots. He said, Roots was like a love story. He said, that did not do slavery any justice as far as the way it really was, right? So you guys remember when Django, you know, they had the kind of like brutal scenes with the dog and stuff. He said, that's what was going on in slavery. And so he says, y'all should be making this stuff. It shouldn't be me. Y'all have made these love stories kind of like, right? Y'all didn't really depict slavery to as much as you can to the way it really was. And so I felt like he was calling them out. Yeah, y'all shouldn't be making it, but stop making Roots and stuff like that. Tell people the story. Because I remember watching Roots as a kid, and it was horrible, but it was with the upbeat kind of music with it and all of that. I didn't feel like it was that terrible, because I think that was done on purpose. Talk about slavery, but don't really talk about slavery, right? Like the worst thing was what that I can remember is Toby getting his, you know, foot chopped off, you know. So anyway, and Reginald, how you doing? He says, Hotep Sister Demetra, back at you. And AJ says, oh yeah, it was tough, sis, to look at. Yes, indeed. And Mike, you say Genesis 15, 13, and 14. And what does that say? And Brother Jonell says, may we stop giving our 1.8 trillion to our colonizers and spend with our own first. Our Black Holocaust has not stopped. We still in Black Wall Street, Rosewood. You better preach, etc. Because it's about our Black economics staying with our colonizers. You are absolutely right. Now, and I don't want to sound Kanye West-ish, if you will, we participate in Rosewoods and your Wall Streets and your Slocums and things like that to some degree. To your point, when we give, mostly 1.8 trillion of our dollars away. They didn't do that back then. Now, of course, they had to kind of, be with each other because it was segregation, Jim Crow and all of that. But they made it work. Now, y'all got to remember, those people was coming from slavery. A lot of them were the first generation out of slavery, and some of them, if they were still alive, which some of them would have been, were used to be slaves. So, and Reginald, you say RP to Gangsta Boo from 3-6 Mafia. Oh, really? Wow. So people leaving up out of here like that today? Oh my God. Super Patriot says, I was in Houston when they dragged a black man to death in the 1980s. So yeah, I think that was 1990s. Yes, you're right. James Byrd in what part of Texas was that? It just slipped my mind. But yeah, I forget. But yeah, that wasn't that long ago. And I want to say now all of those men have been executed, if I'm not mistaken. And Michael says, although New Year is diverse, it is not insulated from racism and white supremacy. Yeah, I've even seen a story where they said that the New Year was a horrible day for slaves, as I guess every day would be, right? Because that's when slave owners would do a lot of selling and auctioning of slaves. And of course, that meant a lot of times they were ripped from their families, whether it was husbands, wives, children, you name it. So I would imagine that among many days was not a day that our people look forward to, because it was probably going to be the last time that they saw their loved one. So, and Charlotte, how are you doing? It says, I heard about it, but never seen it. Where do I find it? The movie, you might be able to find it on some streaming services, but it's called Rosewood. And of course, there's a lot of information about it on YouTube and I was going to say Glitter for some reason. Twitter. I think I was trying to merge Google and Twitter together. Google, there's a lot of information, but probably on some streaming service or something like that. But it's a hard to watch. I will tell you that. Happy New Year to you as well, Reginald. And Brother Jonah says, imagine if we, as Black people, regulated our Black economy, our Black economic spending. That's the only real empowerment that's feared by this European nation. Yep. And they know how to get our money and keep us distracted each and every time. And that's one thing I said I want to do too, is not, and being a content creator, I'm not going to lie, sometimes I get distracted by some of the low-hanging fruit. And I don't want to do that anymore. I don't want to talk about celebrities. I try my hardest not to. Sometimes we have to, depending on what it is. I'll try not to as much, because I don't want to give them any more attention than they need, right? Not saying they're not important, but they're not more important than us, right? So I'm going to try. And Tawana says, Emancipation was a great movie. It was hard to watch. See, that's what like when I think of movies like that, I think about getting on a roller coaster, right? Like a roller coaster, it's scary and it's going to flip you and dip you. That's kind of how I feel when I watch movies like that. It's like I have a lot of intrepidation going in to watch movies like that. So that's kind of why I haven't watched it yet. And True Margaret says they continue to profit off of melanated trauma and it needs to end. I totally agree with you. And that's what it is. They actually call it Black trauma porn, in that a lot of these directors and producers and movie studios, they peddle that kind of stuff toward us. Give them a slavery movie. Give them another one. It's like, when they do that, psychologically, it keeps ramming into us. That's all you guys were. That's all you guys were. You started off as slaves. What about the movies about Mansa Musa, Queen Nzinga, and so many other people before we even got over here, right? Like, I would see a movie like that. I'd love to see a movie about Marcus Garvey, but they don't show us those movies because they want us to always think about struggling and how horrible our existence, or most of our beginnings were in America, but we are so much more than that. So I totally agree. And Mike, it's a 1992 Los Angeles riots. Now, yes, that was a riot, right? And we, of course, know why. Uh, I'm having like a senior moment. What is Rodney King? I was thinking of Reginald Denny, but then Rodney King. Of course, we know he was beaten by, four Los Angeles police officers there at the Rampart Division, and they originally got away with it. And people was like, "Oh hell to the no!" Right now, LA riots too took place. They say predominantly for Latasha Harlins, a 15-year-old who was murdered by a Korean Sung Do, I think her name was, in 1991. 15-year-old, I think she was 15, who was shot over orange juice. She was shot in the back of the head over an orange juice, and they found the money in her hand that she had intended on paying for it. Now, the lady, she got away with a slap on the wrist. And for what I understand, she still has a liquor store. And actually, I've been to that liquor store, not knowing it was, not as a gas station. I don't want to tell y'all like I'm hanging out at liquor stores, but the gas station in Lancaster, California, from what I understand, that's her gas station. And I ain't been back since. I was like, that's crazy as hell. She opened up a whole nother store gas station after she murdered a child. It's crazy. And guess who predominantly are the customers? Black people. So, and only Pamela's Way says, I have not seen the Will Smith movie. All those movies do is make me so mad, and we need to stay focused. I totally agree with you. Brother Jonelle says, the weekend, February 27th, dinner on me, Queen. If I get out there, I will most definitely sit down and have dinner with you. If for whatever reason my plans don't go forward on that particular weekend, actually my sister's 50th birthday, so I'm pretty sure she's gonna make that happen. But we definitely do need to get together eventually. And Mike, it says cotton was king. Yes, tobacco and what was it, rice and other things that our people had to work in the field sun up to sundown to do. They also say Glendale, California was a sundown town. Can you believe that? Good old Glendale, California. We hear about Glendale. I can't remember what show it was, but some studio or something. Was it Price is Right or something like that? It was in Glendale. But when you think of Glendale, it's just hard to imagine that it was a sundown town. But that's crazy. DDD, how are you doing? He says, hello from Key West, Florida. Raising a glass of Woodford Reserve. You are a beautiful Black woman. Oh, thank you so much. And you have a glass for me. And a link Bulan, I don't know I said that wrong. Well, how are you doing? It says we also need to know our history, pre-colonialism. Yes, but that's the movies and stuff that we get, right? We get the slavery movies, and not that we don't need to know. We do need to know about that stuff, but what about the stuff before that, right? And DDD says, I'm white, Colonel University graduate. I love Black women. Okay, as you should. Black women are dope. And Mike, he says, he who leadeth into captivity shall go into captivity. Explain that. And Darshan, how are you doing? He says, a shout out copper colored people. Okay. And Ogun, it says our king and queen, civilization, culture, etc. Yes, we need to know about those things, right? But even in our history books, that's what they teach us, about slavery. I don't ever remember being in school, whether it was elementary, middle school, or high school, even really learning about anything past or before slavery. I don't, and I mean, don't recall learning that much about slavery in school, but that was a long time ago too. But definitely they wasn't telling us about no kings and queens, And if they was, it was probably something about Egypt making us think that, Elizabeth Taylor was Cleopatra or something. I don't know. Happy New Year to you as well, harmony and peace, tranquility. And Micah says exactly. Y'all say exactly. And Brother Jonelle says, it says, holy don't mean holy. Majority of these holidays have a pagan root and root in murder and deceit, mainly murder of we, the darker native people of the planet. When you do the research, rather, our creator have nothing to do with these European pagan holidays rooted in sun worshiping. I totally agree. It is something that's more of, the Western place in the world, right? That's not something we did, but it's really to get your money, right? How many people, I'll be honest with you. I went to Walmart yesterday. I needed a couple things like some notepads and stuff like that. I couldn't even find a cart. I have to wait for the cart person to bring a cart so I could get a cart, right? To go in. I was like, hey, what are all these people doing? Now I know it was New Year's Eve, but I'm like, are people partying? Like, what's this about? Are they here because, like, while I'm here getting, stuff for the new year? It was just odd, but nevertheless, there was so many people there. I was like, let me get out of here. DDD says, everyone, please relax. Come down to Key West. It's relaxing down here. Yes, I heard it was is very lovely there. And he says, spread the love. Yes, indeed. Mike says, read that verse, Sister Demetra. I said, read that verse. Okay, so I have to go back and remember which one it was. I know it was Genesis 15, 13 to 14. Is that what it was? Okay. And Facts Not Feeling says Jasper. Yes, Jasper, Texas. I could not think of it. It's late, so my mind is kind of foggy. Yes, Jasper, Texas, only Pamela's Way, where Brother James Byrd was dragged to death. Not that long ago, right? The 90s. And Super Patriot says they can't even depict it. All the rape, incest, and murder. You can't even put that nastiness in a movie. I like Django. Yes. Yeah, it'd be hard to watch. I don't think I could sit through a movie like that and watch. Facts Not Feelings, Jasper, Texas. And Ogunya says, you need some mods in your chat to get rid of these agents in the chat. I have one. I have a few, actually. I just only see one on here. But yes, I do, I guess, need more. And Brother Frank, how are you doing? Peace unto you as well. And Brother Joanne says, I think James Byrd was in Houston. One of his daughters became a police officer. Yes, I did hear that. So Jasper, it's not that far from Houston, is it? I don't know. I'm still kind of learning. And Mike says, Joyce Pointer of the Pointer Sisters passed away New Year's Eve. Yes, good old Pointer Sisters. Good times. Good times. I remember the 1984 Olympics. What was the name of that song they had? Shoot, I'm having a senior moment today, y'all, but that song, I liked it. So R.I.P. to her. Notorious Hebrew, how are you doing? It says, exactly, there's a few colonizers in here. Okay. And Frank, you say Happy New Year. Back at you. DDD says, I guess I'm not welcome in here. Thanks anyway. Well, we're all having a conversation here. Everybody can participate in the conversation as long as we keep it classy, right? And Al B says, for me, 2023, talk less, do more. Yes, that is me too. And my mom told me that years ago. I used to read a whole lot of self-help books. And she was like, well, when are you actually going to start doing some of that stuff? And I was like, yikes. Well, that was kind of cold, but she was right. And so I'm with you. Less talking and more doing. Let's be adventurous this year, right? Let's go out there and do some things that we've never done. With caution, right? Like, don't go do nothing too wild that you'll wake up in the morning and regret, but take a chance. And then we could talk about that too after we get to talking about this. Mike says Ving Rhames starred in Rosewood. Yes, he was, the big burly guy that was, kind of rescuing everybody and things like that. Although in the true story, it said that no men did get on the train. And it was two white men, as I said, who actually participated in rescuing the Black people there. They were two very wealthy brothers, and they had a train, and they was like, yo, we got to go save them because, as I said earlier, they actually did business with Black people there. So they was like, oh, we got to help them, right? We can't just let them, go through that. And so they were very instrumental in rescuing pretty much the rest of the people who lived out of there, except for the men. They was like, we want to, but we can't, because if the mob catches up to us, then, it's going to be over for everybody. So crazy, right? And Micah says the Zulu movies. Yes. I remember that Shaka Zulu. I ain't gonna lie, y'all. When I was young, that movie scared the mess out of me. But it was the way they depicted Shaka Zulu. They had him like he was just mean, evil, just horrible person. But it's like, well, who was he horrible to, though? But I think it came on ABC. It was like the movie of the week. It came on a couple of nights, and I was freaked out. I'm not gonna lie, but when I did my research about Shaka Zulu, I was like, they straight up that was Hollywood making, freaking people out, right? Said the same thing about Idi Amin. He's a horrible individual, which I'm sure he was to some degree, but to who though? I don't know. Super Pager says, I love Marcus. Yes, Marcus Garvey. Yes, indeed. And Ogun says, that's why we need our own industries by pro-black brothers and sisters. Yep, I totally agree with you, DDD. He says, what about Mandingo? Now, see, you wowed it now. Mandingo, I seen that movie. I saw that movie, I should say. What I remember about that movie is about a white woman, I guess, kind of, sort of. That was just the one thing that stood out to me. She really kind of trapped the man into, doing some things with her he didn't want to do with her. Fast My Feelings says Rebellion. And Albie says, I had a girlfriend named Nzinga in my teens. Yes, very powerful name. Very powerful queen. And yes, indeed, Facts My Feelings says not riots. And Brother Jonell says a whole black nation economy of 1.8 trillion going to its colonizers and foreigners due to outside investing in our own self-hate and self-destruction, mindedness after taking the chains off. Yes, until we take the chains off, we always going to be giving all of our money away, right? We just are. Michael says, I understand why the relationship between Asians and blacks is hostile. Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. But you know what? I tell y'all, and Michael, have you read the book or listened to the audio, Hidden Secrets to Oriental Wealth? It's a really good book and audio. It's on YouTube, The Hidden Secrets to Oriental Wealth. And it's an Asian author. And he's basically talking to black people. He says, listen, I know y'all have been told to be mad at us, to hate us. Y'all think that we just come over here and get stuff. And he basically is saying, listen up. This is how we are doing what we are doing, and y'all could do it too. And he is absolutely right. He says we got the same enemies y'all got. We just are less affected by them because we organize, we practice group economics, and we look out for each other. We ain't fighting on the internet with black men or Asian men against the Asian woman. We ain't. He ain't said that on the internet because the book is written a long time ago. But that's the point I'm making. They're like he did say in the book, we figure out how to get along. We listen. Knock all that nonsense off. We need to get along because we got to buy houses. We got to create businesses. We got to, make all this money. We got things to do to be worried about silliness. So Hidden Secrets to Oriental Wealth, it is on YouTube. It is a good audio book. So I'm just letting y'all know. Let's see here. Yes, thumbs up, y'all, if you could. And Truemonger says Mandingo was also hard to watch. Yeah, it's a long time ago when I saw it. I don't know if it's something I want to see again. Mike, you said Reginald Denny was the white man that was beaten. Yes, that's why I said I had a whole bunch of names in my head. I better catch up because it looked like I'm behind a little bit. And Super Patriot says, I would love to see Shaka, a movie that looks like 300. Yeah, Shaka Zulu movie that looks like 300. Yes, I actually like that movie 300. But yeah, exactly. Not this one of this man. I remember this scene they had where he hung somebody up and then he ripped their armpit off and he ate it. And I'm like, I'm telling y'all, I was so scared. But then when I read about him, I was like, okay, that was straight up Hollywood right there. Straight up. And Gerard, how are you doing? It says the state of Florida did make a scholarship fund for descendants of the massacre. That was their idea of reparations. Yep, that's what they said. They via reparations. And it was like $2 million that was given. So I don't know if they got $2 million a piece or $2 million all together. But it's like, come on, man, really? Y'all distort their whole everything. Generations were destroyed even. And a scholarship? Okay. Facts Not Feelings says Black people should be protesting her business every day until she is out of business. Yeah, but we're not going to do it because as Brother Jonell said, we're mentally dead. We're not. And we're talking about Sung. I think that's her name, the lady who shot Latasha Harlan. She's in Lancaster, California. Her son runs the business. Thriving. They're thriving off of our dollars. Super Pager says, keep in mind the 300 movie was mostly lying. Yeah, I bet. It was from the Bible, right, about Gideon, if I'm not mistaken. And Mike says, no, the liquor store was in South Central Los Angeles. It was closed. Yes, so that's one is closed, but there's another one in Lancaster, California, that is said to be owned, and I got a pretty good source, that is owned by her, and her son runs the gas station liquor store thing. And DDD says, I invited you to Key West. Come on. Okay. Mike, he says, Paradise Valley, California was a sundown town as well. Now that I believe. Monet, how are you doing? Says somebody in the chat is from Key West, Florida. How is Robert the Doll doing? I want to go and see the museum. Now, who the hell is that? Robert the Doll? And Ogun says, exactly. It's very important for us, especially our children, to see. Yep. And Intrinsic One, he says, greetings to everyone and hello. How are you? He says, hello from Jonesville, Florida, just off State Road 26, not far from Rosewood. And for what I understand, just that house is there, right? The house that was owned by John Wright, the white guy that was in town. He also owned like one of the only major stores there. Uh, you also say, DDD, would you like to come down to Key West? I live in a fly in a community. I would to arrange that. Um, Sounds lovely, but I'm a pass, but thank you. Jamarcus, how are you doing? And Mike says Isaiah 14, 1 through 2. He says their capacity. Okay, I'm gonna try to remember all these scriptures now. Mikey says exactly. And Yanni says, I know emancipation was about a man named Peter. Was there an autobiography written? I don't know. From what I heard, it was about them. You guys have seen the picture often. It's of a man whose back was terribly scarred from being whipped. From what I understand, that's who the movie was about, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know. I have to actually do my research if I decide to watch it. And I like to do a little research before I watch stuff. Curly Girl, how are you doing? Greetings to you as well. And Copper Color Beauty says, I'm still learning, as am I. Jan Michael says, excuse me, but when do you decide to leave? Close the door behind you. And you know what? I don't even know what we're talking about now because I'm trying to catch up. Complex Blackness, how you doing? Says, look up the 1946 Columbia riots. See how it started. It was right after World War II. Thurgood Marshall was there and they were going to lynch him. Wow. That is crazy. Well, thank God they didn't, right? Truemonger says they used to show Shaka Zulu on PBS a lot. I remember it used to come on. I want to say it was ABC, like movie of the week. I remember when it first premiered. I don't even think I was in high school. Maybe I was when I saw the movie. I don't know. I can't remember, but I was scared, right? Like, golly. And Complex Blackness says, you mean Columbia. Okay. And Oguni says, get rid of that troll DDD, please. Okay. Well, I have moderators. And Robin says, exactly. I'm sorry. Every Sunday, there's always a troll in the chat that want to derail the topic and want to shift the attention back to them. Well, we're going to stay focused. Remember, 2023, we're going to stay focused. And so I will try to recognize the trolls and I will not read those comments. So we're going to stay focused, y'all. And Mikey says, I know my stiff neck fighting people's history. We did fight back, Demetra. They never show us fighting back. Exactly, right? They want us to be, and they probably don't even want us to know that it was Nat Turner. Oh, it was just Nat Turner. It was just, there was so many slave rebellions. It's ridiculous, but they don't want us to know that, right? They want us to always believe that we were defeated people and we were just, I don't know what I'm going to do. There was uprisings all the time. Our people, they come from a warrior spirit, right? Fighters. They weren't in Africa like, oh, I don't know what I'm gonna do. They didn't. We didn't start off as that, right? And we weren't that even a lot in slavery. We weren't just taking it. There's a lot of us like, you know what? This is probably gonna be my last day on earth, but I'm gonna take a couple of them with me. You know. You also say the original Chinese were black. Yes, indeed. In fact, my feeling says Asians and blacks should not have animosity. No, we shouldn't have animosity, but we do, right? But why is that? And as they said in the Hidden Secrets of Oriental Wealth, we all have the same enemy. We do. Complex Blackness says Asians are less affected because they literally don't get messed with. They get messed with to some degree. However, like we saw that crime bill that they got like that. Why y'all think they got it? I ain't gonna answer it. Somebody, y'all, one of y'all answer it. Why y'all think they got that crime bill so fast? What are they doing differently than we're doing? Somebody can answer that. And Mo Wube, how are you doing? And let's see, Brett, how are you? He says, watch the movie Drum. Let me try to write some of this stuff down. Drum. What's it about, if you don't mind me asking? And Brother Jonell says, what movies have they done on Ethiopia where our ancestors fought them with trained lions and hyenas? We can never expect our enemies to show us in a positive light. That's on us. You ain't lying. And so it's like with the movies that we do, like, okay, let's just bring Tyler Perry into the chat. Like I watched, and I'm so mad that I wish I could get to a time machine and get that time back. I watched the Jazz Man, I think it was called. That movie was so traumatic. But Tyler Perry has the ability to do better, but he won't. He keeps giving us struggle love and trauma and all the other stuff. So it's like, you're right, that's on us. But who made Tyler Perry a billionaire? It wasn't white people, it was us. We made Tyler a billionaire as awful as what Spike Lee said, who he named the studio after, malt liquor for black people. And he continues to give that to us, right? So, like you said, that's on us. Notorious Hebrew, he says, you will never be seen or heard from again, says, don't do it. Oh, shoot, you ain't got to tell me twice. Michael says, who is interested in starting a cash reparations phone bank, text bank, and canvassing to get people on board with the idea and call their representatives to advance cash, etc.? Well, do tell. And I know you sent me a lot of stuff about it. So, I mean, I can't think of too many people who wouldn't be interested in that. Only Pamela's way, it says, I say we need to separate from the colonizer. Yeah. And that's what actually Marcus Garvey was on so many years ago. What, 100, years plus now at this point. Years ago, he was on that, like, hey, let's do us, right? Nation of Islam. They talk about it all the time, separate. Yes, indeed, Mo Bay. How are you? And Mikey says that lady that shot Latasha Harlins by a Korean lady named Dooku Kim or something like that. Yeah. Something like that. Yeah, but she got away with it. She got clean away with it. And Jan Michael, you say exactly. And Michael, okay, so I read that already. And Moni says, Demetria, I sent you a video that is coming off on Instagram with an oppressor class working in healthcare, and she openly admits that she does not bathe. I saw that once to twice a week. Did she say it was for health reasons or something? I know her friends is like, is that what I've been smelling around here? Queen Tracy, how are you, friend? No, you're right on time. And Niall, how are you doing? Says peace and ancestors blessings to you, beautiful queen. Thank you for your tireless work. Oh, thank you for being here. And Michael, he says Asians organize and march together to receive money and protection from the federal government. Yeah, but there's another reason. And Michael, I know you know another reason why Asians are getting stuff so quick. Somebody's got to know. And Only Pamela Way says Asians are sticking together regardless. Yeah, they sticking together. That's part of it. And Notorious Hebrew says proximity to whiteness, the model minority, they assist in upholding white supremacy. I won't say I guess I get where you're going with that. I definitely think they're benefiting from it, but there's a reason. I'm gonna keep reading. Mo Bay says Tyler Perry movies. Yeah, exactly. And True Margaret says Tyler Perry chitlin movies and shows. Yeah, but we made him a billionaire. We made him a billionaire off of malt liquor for black people. There's no some of the Medea stuff. Yeah, you run around and dress and stuff. Some of it is very edifying. He, she, Medea. Says some things that are very insightful. I will say that. But all that other stuff, if I saw Tyler Perry, I would shoot him the eye for that last movie I saw. And I was like, you dummy, you watched it and you said you wasn't gonna watch it, and you watched it anyway. And let's see here. DDD says that crime bill was pushed to the front line by authoritative people. There's a little bit more to it. And let's see. Moni says, and while she does this, Demetria, she's working with innocent, elderly, and handicapped sick patients. I miss the Pioneer. It's a great time. Happy, wonderful 2023. Please look at your email. Well, I saw the video. Where is the Pioneer? Have y'all seen him in the YouTube streets? Where has he been? It's been months. Tell him I'm looking for him. I think I have his email somewhere. I'm going to hit him up. And Oguni says, they align with the Neanderthals. That's why we blacks are the only race that's unique, God's true people. I guess that's to some degree. I'm going to tell y'all in a minute. Facts My Feelings says, knowing my spirit and who I am, I know my forefathers did some beautiful violence to their slaveholders. I hold my head high and I am proud of them. You know they did. Come on now. Because to believe the narrative that we've been told, every black man in slavery took it. That's what they want us to think, right? Oh, they just stood there and they just took it. They let Master drag his wife off into the quarters and have his way with her, and ain't none of them did anything. We know that's not a lie. We know some of them like to, I'm coming to see you, God. Some of them, a lot of them did. Uh, Curly Girl says, ooh, child. And Arif, how are you doing? He says, Parsley Massacre. So, yeah, there's so many of them. And Brother Jonell says, separation is the greatest fear of this white nation because despite their false cry of white supremacy, nothing that they have or done is not without Black people. If they separate from us, the harvest of evil sown will bloom in full. Yep, everybody needs Black people. We just don't realize that. We don't realize how much we need Black people, right? Which is why I said this year too, I want to try to really just do my best to bridge the gap as far as conversations between Black men and women. We need each other, period. I'm not on that divester stuff. I'm not on the passport brother stuff. If that's what people want to do, that's their right. Nobody can take it from them. But I want to talk about Black love, right? Black people getting together so we can do what we need to do. True Market says Asians paid for that bill. But how did they pay for that bill? If they indeed paid for that bill, how did they pay for that bill? Why can't we pay for a bill? If they paid for that bill, why can't we do the same? And Michael says Asians are using math and strategy to counter white supremacy and racism. They voted based on their own needs. Getting really close. You are getting really, really, really close. And Ogunya says, even if we organize, we still in enemy-controlled America, which is why we should organize in Africa instead. Yep. Marcus Garvey said the same thing. Let's go. And Monty says Tyler Perry, when he he can make some good movies, but what I don't like is forcing the alphabet agenda heavy in the Black community. Like you have the have and the have-nots. That was a great series. Have and have-nots. Yeah, I didn't watch that. I try not to watch that kind of stuff. I've seen an episode or two, and I'm like, Tyler Perry just makes like really cheesy soap operas. As my daughter said, he must be writing this stuff on the toilet. I said, yeah, he probably is, Mike says Ronald Reagan gave the Asians reparations, $20,000 a piece. Yes, he did. And the Biden administration, no, that was a Jewish community. But yeah, you're right. Only Pamela's Way says, oh yeah, they got the money to push and pay for the bill. They got the money. How did they get the money? Michael says Asians are received in their thinking and approach. You said receive in their thinking and approach. And Michael said he's right. And Michael, you says Asians emphasize economics to get ahead. Yep. And Brother Donnell says, have you seen them cotton fields? Everybody wasn't going. Exactly. Somebody was like, today, I'm not doing it. I'm just not going to go. I'm not doing it. And then it's like they had to get, was it like 300 pounds or something of cotton? Y'all know how much 300 pounds of cotton is? And we ain't talking about in a week. We're talking about a day. And if they came up short, oftentimes there was brutal punishment for that. And they said oftentimes the cotton would have blood on them from our ancestors' hands bleeding because, cotton has, thorns and stuff. So when they would pick the cotton, sometimes the thorns would stick them and the cotton would have blood on them. Just picking cotton all day. Like with little to nothing to eat most of the time, right? And say, let's see, Notorious Hebrew says, we are the foundation. Yes, indeed. And DDD says, can anyone remember the 1994 crime bill? Yep, we talk about it all the time. Good old Bill Clinton there, right? At the behest of Joe Biden. Curly Girl says, I say we are and were prisoners of war. When the Neanderthals came, they came with weapons and war. That is true. Only Pamela's Way says, me too. Black is the only love to me, period. Yep, got to. AJ says, oh, yes, sis, we need one another. We need one another. We do. And I'm never going to be on that page talking bad about Black men, talking bad about Black women. Because I say this, we all have our struggles, but we need each other. It is at the end of the day, because you don't hear anyone else talk about they don't need their man. They don't need their woman. Oh, I'm going off over here. I'm going over. Everybody else is like, they're predominantly together. And I should say Black people are predominantly together too. That's why I said I hate the internet a lot, because a lot of nonsense just goes forth on the internet, as far as the divestors and the passport bros, manosphere, and whatever else is out there. Hear a lot of nonsense go forth, and it's like, well, how much of that is really true, right? You know, uh, Michael says Asians have representatives who like them and who are like them and think like them. Yep. And Notorious Hebrew says black love doesn't mean sexual, self-love and love for our families and those that look like us. I totally agree. It rarely means sexual. If you ask me, it means that everything you just said. I mean, sex is just kind of one of those things, right? But we need like love in a true sense. Trumonger says they pay for it with their group economics. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, you all were very close. But group economics is what got the Asians a crime bill. Y'all got to remember when Asians, the Japanese were first over here. Where were they? In the early 1900s, well, I guess like 1930s, 1940s. They were in concentration camps. They weren't respected either. Even back during the opioid, not the opioid crisis here, opium, I guess you say, opium, back in the day, they being white people, they were mad at the Chinamen. That's what they call them, the Chinamen, and black people, black men too, because they're like, oh, when they get high on opium and and coca, cocaine, I guess back then, all that was legal. All of it was legal. It was all legal until white people got it in their hands that, oh, when black men and Chinese men, they smoke these things, they get randy for white women. So that's largely why a lot of those drugs back then are outlawed, because they thought that it made black men and Chinese men want to, ravish white women. Look it up. So I say all that to say Asians didn't always have the respect that they have now in America. They did not. What they did, they just learned to organize and practice group economics. And that's how they're getting ahead. That's how they are the wealthiest class of people in America. That's how they're getting all of these bills. That's how they get these politicians to quiver in their boots. In San Francisco, was it the mayor? The DA, Chesay Bolden, was a white man. The Democrat, they felt like, when I say the Asians felt like he wasn't tough enough on crime. They recalled his behind, and they got a sister in there now who is saying everything they want to hear. Oh, yeah, we're going to lock them up. We're going to get tough on crime. She's saying everything they wanted to say because they organized and they got the money. And Michael and the rest of y'all said they don't put people in office that don't represent their viewpoints. And honestly, they don't care if it's Asian or not. They'll get anybody in there for the most part. But tell you what, you ain't going to be in there long if you ain't doing the stuff we put you in there for. So that's how kind of really, and I know they get other stuff from the government stuff too, but I'm saying that's mostly how they're getting the stuff, group economics. So there's that. All right. And so let's see. Michael says Asians contacted the NAACP and Asian caucus to get a bill passed for them. And not only NAACP, it was the Black caucus. They all were on board. It was unanimous. The bill passed for the anti-Haitian crime bill, and a lot of the Black Congressional Caucus, most of them, all of them, were on board with it. But ain't the Congressional Black Caucus supposed to be for Black people? I don't know. Curly Girl says, and they still use weapons on us and military. Yes, indeed. Michael says Asians are reserved in their thinking. Yes. And DDD says Toby Keith wrote, should have been a cowboy in the bathroom. Oh, so you're talking about that of Tyler Perry, who wrote, yeah, I guess some good things can come out the bathroom. Only Pamela's Way says Asians got reparations. Yeah, and they gonna get some more. Watch. They're gonna get some more because they like shit. We got this thing down pat. We are running circles around everybody. It's just simply because when Asians go to they are sitting down at the table in the morning. And they're like, okay, we need to go to the store. We're going to put all this stuff on the list. We're going to go to the store. Do you think they're thinking about going to Kroger? They ain't thinking about going to. They might go to Kroger like if they need something that their own people don't have. They thinking about going to their own store. I'm in Houston, and I've never seen so much Asian stuff. Well, I'm lying from California, so I have. But there's a lot of Asian stuff out here, like Asian stores, you name it, banks, everything, right? So they don't. It's not even It's not even a thought like, oh, shop Asian today. Today we're gonna shop Asian. Like when we black people, like, okay, today I'm gonna shop black. I'm gonna shop black. They don't have to remind themselves, they just do it, right? So, they're gonna continue to get stuff because they know how to do it. They got it all down. Top notch. How you doing? It says, because most of us spend our money on frivolous items. Yeah, we are a pretty big consumer and produce mostly nothing. Consume everything and produce nothing. That's a recipe for disaster, as Dr. Claude Anderson talks about all the time. We are a permanent underclass, I would imagine, by now, and we own and operate hardly nothing, right? And y'all can tell me, where's the black grocery store in your neighborhood? Put it in the chat. And Truemarker says the 1994 crime bill is still domestic terrorism. Yep, and it's still in effect. And AJ says, same here, sis. And Mike says, Jim Crow Joe was the author of the 1994 crime bill. Yep. And has not apologized for it, no matter what people say. Oh, well, it was the past. He apologized. No, he didn't. He didn't apologize at all. Okay. He said he made a mistake, but he didn't say, listen, Negroes, I'm sorry. He didn't do that. On October, Opal, how are you doing? You say, we all we got for real. Yes, indeed. And Brother Jonelle says, black love is black power. Yep. That's why there's this going on the internet. Got the black woman over here, the black man over there. But the minute that we get together, we say, you know what? But see, as you always talk about, Brother Jonelle, you protect what you love, right? And if you love yourself, then you're going to love your brother and your sister. But see, a lot of that comes from us not really loving ourselves. And we could just really start there, then we'll start to see us come together more, right? We'll come together more, and that definitely will be power. DDD says, in the grass, if the grass was green on the other side, the person that was there before you will still be there. Good point. Michael says, Asians acted as a special interest group. Yeah, but see, isn't that what Dr. Claude Anderson was saying that we should act as? Which is why he says, don't call ourselves minorities or people of color. We should say that we are black people, African American. However, we need to put the point across that we are black people and we are not with everybody else. I mean, so listen, I say this a lot, and I'm going to say, I'm not mad at the Asian community. You know why I'm not mad at the Asian community? I'm not mad at the Hispanic community. I'm not mad at any other special interest group. You know why? Because they understand, as Brother Jonelle just said, whatever it is, Asian power, Hispanic power, or love, rather, is power. They understand that. They're like, I ain't got time to be fighting with Guadalupe. I ain't got time to be fighting with her. Guadalupe better bring herself in this house, make this house a home, and do what it do with this money I'm bringing in. I need Guadalupe to save, because we got to send these kids to college. We got to buy a block. We got to get these businesses rolling. That's what they own. But with us, we own feeling good. Oh, I don't like the black woman because I don't like the black man. And guess what? Because we don't like each other, we ain't got nothing either. So only pound would say, Sister Demetra, a lot is going on, and I'm going to send some info to you. Yes, and please, and thank you. I'm not on the internet a lot. It's hard not to be because of what I do. But sometimes I just kind of like try to give it a break so I can really get into my own mental space. But thank you. Morning says, I see where Asians in terms of Japanese and one of the others are speaking up for blacks to get reparations. I doubt that it'll do any good, but is a help. It keeps being talked about. It says Cali reneged on it, California. They're still talking about it, but it could, be something come up like, oh, well, we wanted to give it to you. Listen, we won't believe it until the checks have been cashed, right? But yeah, I have seen where there are some Asians who are saying, hey, y'all really do need to give black people reparations. But you know what? It is going to take other communities to say, you know what? All BS aside, black people, if anybody in this country deserve a dime, it's black people. Everybody else has gotten some, but y'all need to give black people something. If other groups moved in that way and said, give black people what's due them, then I believe we would get it. It's going to take us too, but I'm just saying other groups have to come together and say, you know what? They really do deserve reparations, like for real, right? And let's see here. And Micah says, evening, Demetra and chat. Back at you. Facts and Feelings says, my ex-wife was all about black love until we broke up. Then she called the white court system on me. I don't believe in black love until black women abandon the child support and family court system. Well, I will say this. I'm mixed on child support. When I say mixed, I have mixed emotions about it. I tell y'all my story all the time. I was put on child support, um, erroneously, I might add. Never paid a dime of it because I was not an absentee mother. I had my daughter with me all the time. It was just some nonsense. Me and her father was going through. He put the white man on me, but I never paid. I mean, I'm lying. They garnished my check for a year, but they gave it all back to me, minus $50 because I proved that it was a lie. It was not an absentee mother. So I'm one of those people. Believe it or not, I know mostly it's men that get put on child support, but I was a woman that was put on child support, and I realized how easy it is to do that to somebody just based off of a story somebody is given, right? Like there was no verification. Like, let me see if she an absentee mama. Let's have a conversation with her. None of that stuff. I wasn't given. You know how I found out I was put on child support? I was found out when my check was short. Now this was in the 90s before direct deposit and all that. So when your paycheck come in the mail, you're like, there's some money missing. I could not figure out what it was. So I called HR and it was like, oh, well, you're getting your wages garnished for child support. I'm like, huh? I had no clue. So I'm very sympathetic. But the other side of that is too, I understand that there's some people who make children and they don't take care of them. So it's like on that situation, facts not feelings, if you don't mind me asking, what should be done? And I'm not just talking about women. I'm talking about men who are left with children and the mom skates off somewhere. What should be done? Should that absentee parent get away with it? I'm asking. So I get where you're going though. Son Kisser, how you doing? He says, I was through with Tyler Perry when he started that you made a white woman took your man bull. He said he's definitely not free. He has to below us also. So I mean, your comment is kind of jumbled. If you can rewrite that, I want to make sure I give it justice. And Ms. Arlene, how are you doing? It says they do that and don't even vote. Laugh out loud. Yeah, but see, they ain't gotta vote now. They ain't gotta vote. Asians, if they said, you know what, we ain't spending another dime for the next week. They could, potentially shut this economy down. They could do that. So, white supremacy is like, man, we know Asians are big consumers too. And they could, and they would. They don't get their way. They definitely will organize on this system, and the system knows that. So they vote, but they're like, well, we already got our thing going on. So we vote. If we don't, we don't, right? But when they vote their interests. Brother Jonell says, they was deemed sick, a sick man of Asia. They didn't get respect until Pearl Harbor and man of statues such as Bruce Lee. Right. So they weren't always a respected class of people here. So absolutely. Super Patriot says money talks. You better believe it. DDD says, are you familiar with Dr. Claude Anderson? Yes, I am. Are you? I am. Mike says China had a civil war in the mid 1960s. Now you're bringing in some real history. Michael says it is true that most Asians are wealthy. Not all. Says not all of them are wealthy. So he's saying it's not true that most. A lot of them got some money. I'm from California. I think you're from California too, Michael. I mean, in an area called Chino, California, shoot, ain't nothing but Asians. You go over there, you see Bentleys, you see Teslas, you see Mercedes, you see, G-Wagon trucks. You see it all. Now, and if y'all been in Chino Hills, that's some prime real estate, and there's a lot of Asians. So living in California anywhere is going to cost you, but Chino Hills, listen, I've been in Chino Hills before, and some of those houses that you got to drive all up and through the mountains and the hills, and then when you get to the house, it's like, it looks like the house that's behind me. That's how they live it. Trumonger says, Black people still fall for the voting propaganda and get duped every time vote means to wish. Yeah, that's exactly what it is. If ain't nothing coming behind the vote. Yeah, I mean, the Democrats are, pretty much still in power in Washington, but what does that do for Black people? Even though Black people helped them get that way. That race with Senator Ralph Warnock last month, the runoff between him and Herschel, Black people did that. And Ralph ain't going to Washington to do nothing for Black people. He wasn't doing nothing for Black people when he was there. But we so proud that he beat Herschel Walker. And listen, I'm not saying Herschel Walker was better. He was kind of a lights around, but nobody's home type of guy. But if you ask yourself, what would have been the difference? What was Herschel gonna do? What is Ralph gonna do that Herschel wasn't gonna do, or vice versa? They're both were not gonna do anything specifically for their own people. So could have had Kermit the Frog in there for all I care. Um, and only Pamela Way says exactly. They go to their own stores. Yeah, they don't have to make them do it. Like, oh, let's go to the shop. They just do it second nature, right? They get in the car and they're there. They're not. They didn't have to have a pep talk with each other to do it. Let's go shop Asian today. Oh, let's go shop Hispanic. They don't have a pep talk. They just do it. So, and Curly Girl says Ukraine getting reparations for their war, but we never got reparations or restoration for the war against us. And they get reparations in our faces. Have you ever had somebody say somebody owe you money and they just out there spending money in your face, and they know they owe you money, but they out there just spending money like, huh? I owe this person money, but I'm gonna go buy a pair of new shoes with them right in their face. That's what the United States is doing to us. Right in our faces, they're giving Ukraine all that money. The hell, Zelensky just left out of here with $2.2 billion more dollars of our, that could have went to us. Said thank you and went right back. And there was like, well, I don't know, I can't even count right now, but Biden is saying it was like 23 billion. Although I think it's probably a lot more that Ukraine has gotten. So, Michael says, Demetra and others, you should contact me because I have ideas about securing cash reparations for your people. Okay. You have sent me some stuff. Sunkisser says, here in Wisconsin, Asians are everywhere now, even delivering mail. Yeah, and in Houston too. There's Asians everywhere. Like this place called it's by the Galleria. What's it called? River Oaks. I watched this show. It's really interesting. Called what is it? The Holes. Their last name is Holes. H-O's. Oh shoot. I forget that. Keeping Up with the Holes, or the House of Hope. That's the name of the show on HBO. The House of Hope. They live in Houston. The father they came from Vietnam. I think it is Vietnam. Came with nothing. This family, the father, he's worth almost like $500 million, and it's like a reality show. And they got all this money. All the kids' names are after presidents. All the kids, the grandkids, everybody's named after presidents. The father, his daughter got a divorce. He bought her a big, nice house in River Oaks because he didn't want his grandchildren not to have a nice house. They all live like on the same street type of thing, and they just got money to burn, just money to burn. But he came over here with nothing. I think they owned a gas station or something and built it up from there and got into stocks and stuff like that. And very interesting show. Let's see here. Michael says, because he's talking to Pamela. And Moni says, Demetri, the reason why I love have and have-nots is because Veronica, beautiful brown sugar lady, the lawyer didn't take no stuff, married a beautiful black judge, powerful, and my girl Candy. Okay. Yeah, I heard a lot of people talking about the show. And Mike says, unite black man and black woman today, right? Wendell, how are you doing? He says, there are very few black grocery stores in the Chi, but there are so many Arab stores in black neighborhoods. Yep, but so where are the black stores? Where are the black grocery stores in our neighborhoods, right? Only Pamela's Way says, I don't spend my money on useless items. If I don't need it, I don't buy. And when I do buy, I buy from black owned. Yeah, I try my best to buy from black owned. There's more black owned opportunities in Houston than there is in California, but I do try to buy from black owned. I was at the mall. I hate going to the mall. A couple months ago, there was a young brother in there. He wasn't supposed to be in there, right? He's selling his t-shirts. And one thing I've always taught my daughter, my niece and nephews who are like my children, I said, don't you ever, I don't care where we are, walk by anybody black selling something. Because in California, have like swap meets, right? And, usually it's a lot of Hispanics there. They have black people there. And I said, we're not going to walk by our people and not buy nothing. I don't care if it's a sock, a tomato, but a leaf. We buying something. We not going to show all these other people that we won't even stop and shop with our own people. So I bought a shirt from the young brother in the mall. Shirt ain't my thing. I will never wear the shirt. It's $25 nevertheless. But I'm like, this young brother's in here hustling. I'm going to buy the shirt. I'll give it to somebody. But I didn't want him to ask me to buy something and not buy something. And all these people in here, black people, shopping and not stopping with him. So that's just kind of my thing. So I do too, Pamela. Super Patriot, he says, in Houston, Bel Air is a huge Asian area. Some signs are literally in Asian languages. Yes, I passed by there a couple times. I was like, wow, and it's for miles, miles and miles. Super Pager says exactly, copy them. Yep. And if you listen to the audiobook Hidden Secrets of Oriental Wealth, that's what he's saying. Do what we're doing. He said this is the secret. And he's talking to Black people. I promise you. Otis, how are you doing? It says we really need to talk about reparations. Do our plantation family get reparations, or all Black families? I think my parents, that was plantation workers, get it. Not the kids unless they are not alive. I think all descendants of slaves in America should get reparations, because where would we be? Where would I be? Where would you guys be? Would you be better off if our ancestors got what was due them for the horrors that they experienced? Would we be better off if our towns were not burned in a massacre? I tend to think most of us would be. We wouldn't be living in squalor and, such horrible situations, and not having the things that we need. We wouldn't be the worst in everything, on the planet. We'd be so much better off. It's just a fact, right? So I think we all deserve that, right? Just like white people, they got generational wealth handed down from their, massa family. Well, the same thing is true for us. If we would have gotten land and money, we'd be better off as well. Brother Jonell says we are a non-productive, dependent nation that need to come into the light and empowerment of self-production. Stop looking to others above our own innate God-given abilities. The slave is programmed to be ignorant to the God in the mirror. You better preach. That's a fact. We are gods, right? We've been taught to worship gods. Yes, there are gods. We are gods as well. We're made in his image. What does that make us? We are a God, but unfortunately, we don't walk that way. We don't talk that way. And, I often have this conversation with Donovan. He always says, well, Black women need to stop calling themselves queens, because everybody ain't a queen. I say, you're missing the point, brother. The point is, yeah, we may not literally have a crown on our head. I said, but when we call each other kings and queens, it's really more of a reminder. Hey, king. Hey, queen. To really jolt back into us. You come from kings and queens. Stop all of that. Act like you come from somewhere. You like Farrakhan said, we did not create the nigga, but we act that way. We know who created that, but we don't have to behave that way, right? So we really need to learn who we are. So that's why we call ourselves kings and queens. It's more of a, hey, get your stuff together. This ain't who you, this is not who we are. We did not originate from this. We are from kings and queens, and start acting like that. So I don't have a problem with it. But absolutely, we need to look in the mirror and see the God that is staring back at us. And Ogun says we need to separate from the bad apples in our community as well, and just link with proud minds. We don't need an army. We just need a powerful Black force. Trust, we do wonders. Yeah, I agree. And as I say, if you build it, they will come. There will be some in our community who are not acting right. They will say, wow, oh, they were serious. They were serious about building and leaving us behind. And then we say, yes, we were serious. We were not going to allow you and the nonsense that you're doing to continue to drag us down. So we went and we became greater, right? You want to be greater with us, you're going to have to leave that nonsense alone, king and queen, and start behaving like that. So absolutely. Super Patriot says, if you see a dude making money, ask him what he is doing. Yeah, a lot of people will tell you, this is what I'm doing. Truemonger, he says the Black-owned grocery store are few and far in between. There are some in California and Soul Food Market in Georgia. So the ones in California, if I'm not mistaken, are they called the grocery outlets? Is that the one that you're speaking of? And Mike says, without the Black woman, there is no Black man. You better believe it, right? And vice versa. But yeah, I hear you. Moni says, my girl Candy was the dark-skinned, nice-looking lady, played a good character that was always ganking the crook Caucasian judges and politicians. I loved it. You would have to watch the series. Good job. Okay. That's the have and have nots. And AJ says 100. DDD says child support system is still broken. It is. Listen, I'm not saying the child support system is not broken. Trust me. I was a victim. I was a victim myself. So trust me. I'm not one of those people like, get his money, sis. Trust me. I'm not on that at all. But I do think people should be responsible for children they make. And Harmony, peace and tranquility. You say a majority of Asians refuse to hire any Africans or African Americans in their nail shops, grocery stores, or dry cleaners. But let me ask you, are they supposed to hire us? Ain't we supposed to hire us? Because if they hire other people, guess what they're not practicing? They're not practicing group economics if they hire outside of their community. It's, as Nipsey would say, uh, all money in. All money in means I have a black store, I hire black people. Now, as Dr. Claude Anderson said, we sell to everybody, but we buy black, right? We hire black. So I'm not mad at Asians or Hispanics or Arabs or anybody else for not hiring us. Now they should, since they are in our community. But the other question is, why do we allow them to set up shop, drape that big old bag of money over their shoulders every night and leave? That's our money. They're not supposed to hire us. But you know what's crazy? When we do have a black business, we hire everybody else. It's like you couldn't find nobody black that wanted that job. I don't know. Oda says, love the country girl accent, Demetra. Love country girls. You know what's funny? Sometimes people will say that I sound like I'm from the South, but most of the time when I speak, people pick up on my West Coast accent, if you will. Like if I'm speaking to people in Houston, like, you from California, huh? I'm like, how can you tell? But thank you. And Brother Jonell says, when Samson prayed the second time, he prayed to God for his innate abilities to crush his enemies. We have the same abilities. The animals in nature look to their innate God-given abilities unless they're trained to look elsewhere. We must come out of the slave-mindedness and decolonize fully. You are absolutely right. We do have those same abilities. But again, we have just been taught that we don't. You're helpless, which is how the Democrats keep making it off of black votes, because they keep telling us you're victims. And we are. I'm not saying that we're not, but that's how they keep us emotionally tied to them. You all are victims, and y'all need us to help you. Get us in office, because if you put a Republican in office, and listen, I know the Republicans ain't that much better. I'm neither. I'm neither a Republican or a Democrat. I know they're not that much better, but we predominantly give Democrats our votes, and that's how they get us. You're victims. You can't do for self. You need us. That's how they do it. And they don't do for us. They it's the carrot. It's the carrot on the string. So let's see here. True Margaret says, so you're speaking to someone else. Mona says, Demetra, one of the members of the 3-6 Mafia had just been shot. Shot? He was shot? Says, and is dead at 43 old today. I'm sick and tired of this. It's a new year. Automatically you killing. I'm so tired of that right there. That's because there's no black love. There is, but it's not enough. Because as Brother Jonell said, you protect what you love. You're not gonna kill one another if you love one another. But see, that's because we don't love ourselves. Like, you love yourself, you're not gonna go do that to your brother or your sister. You not. And it is very sad that somebody has lost their life today, probably over something really ridiculous. You know what I mean? It's crazy. Hello, Brother Marcus. How are you doing? If you guys are on Facebook and you're watching this, you want me to read your comment, please click the link and I would love to do so. And Notorious Hebrew, he says, I don't if mom or dad take care of your children or get put on child support, the baby didn't ask to be here. So you're basically saying that if you make children, you should take care of it. I agree. So what should the parent that's raising the child do? Just like, I'll make a way somehow. And some people do, don't get me wrong, but I don't think it's fair. Mike says, yep, my sister lives in Chino Hills, California. So you know they balling up there. You ain't living in Chino Hills without a little bit of that. And Pamela says, what has voting done for Black community? It's foolish to think voting will do anything for our community. It is the economy, not voting. Yep, you're absolutely right. And Ogunia says, yes, children come first. Make sure they are taken care of, no matter what your beef is with your former lover. Yeah, just do it. And you know what the crazy part is? If I was an absentee parent or my daughter's father had primary custody of her, I wouldn't have had a problem paying child support to him. In fact, my daughter, She got mad at me when she was 16. She wanted to go live with her daddy. I said, all right, go live with your dad. She lived with her dad about 6, 8 months or so. She wanted to come back, but I said, I will never ask you to come back. You want to come back, you come back. She never asked me, but you know what I did? I made sure my daughter had a bank account and a card, and there was money on that card. Because regardless of where my child was, I never wanted her to want for nothing. She had money on her card. She could buy whatever she wanted to buy. I mean, within reason, right? But I didn't want her to want for nothing. I didn't send her to her dad with no money. I knew it takes money to raise a child. So I made sure she had money. And he was like, why are you giving her that money? I said, because I don't want her to want for nothing. I want her to be taken care of like she was with her mother. She came back 6 to 8 months later, and she's been with me ever since at her big old 30-year-old age. So yeah, I get it. Indeed, D says LeVar Ball lives in Chino Hills. Yep, that now y'all know how they balling, right? But Chino Hills is you got to have some money and live over there. Jason, how are you doing? Says, good evening, Demetri. Did you hear about Gangsta Boo from 3 6 Mafia? Yeah, they just told me not too long ago. Shot. This is crazy to me. Mike says, I'm in Fontana. I lived before I moved here to Houston. I don't know, about a 15-minute drive from Fontana. I was in what they call Harupa Valley, kind of like Rubidoux. So you just take Sierra Avenue, and I would be in Fontana. So it wasn't that far. And Tawana says, my sister lived in Chino Hills for 1 year. 1 year was all she can afford. See, everything. Chino Hills, like I said, California is high, but Chino is like prime real estate. Like these are some dentists, doctors, and celebrities, and ball players. Those and Asians. That's who lives over there. There's some of us over there as well. So, facts not feelings. You say, yes, the absentee parents should get away. Why? He says it because if we could give $100 billion to Ukraine, we can take care of a parent who need an extra $200,000 for daycare or something else. Nah. I guess, but come on, man. You can't tell me you create a life and you should just be able to walk away from that. Like, what responsibility do you bear? You know what I mean? Which that should be a deterrent. If you don't want to be on child support, then don't put your where it don't belong, right? And Ogun says, I'm glad I live in an area with Black-owned food places and banks. And what area is that, if you don't mind me asking? Super Patriot says it's $100 billion that they gave to Ukraine Nazis. Okay, so yeah, I heard Joe Biden say $23 billion, but yeah, I figure it's probably more than that. Only Pamela's Way says that was stolen money Ukraine got, and it's never gonna do them any good. I hear you. Brother Jonell says the clear disregard only shows they only were under the illusion of inclusion and will fall for anything and stand for nothing. They bank on our collective docile state of being. Yep. Notorious Hebrew says, you sound trifling. AF not pay your child support because of the government is giving money to another country. So you talking to facts, not feelings? Yeah, facts, not feelings. What's going on with that? Come on, explain that. Michael says, Demetri, I bet you $1 and you will say to me, thank you for securing cash reparations for my people. Please leave me alone. Well, come on with it. Come on with it. And Mike says, we will get reparations. The economy is due to collapse in the third quarter of 2023. Economists say, yeah, if not before that. A lot of them been saying that we need to really stay on top of that, y'all, for real. And Oguni says, Black-owned stores, on the Black-owned online stores as well. If you don't have any Black-owned in your area, yeah. And that's kind of Dr. Claude Anderson spoke to that. Y'all forgive me if I sound congested. I was violently ill the other day. Came back from California, jumped on the plane, and gave the airline attendants a fright. I threw up on the plane. So I'm getting over being sick, so forgive me. That's what Dr. Claude Anderson was saying about online stores or Black stores. He says the unfortunate thing about Black stores, own stores, is usually it's not close. So a lot of times we have to travel. I mean, even here in Houston, if I wanted to go to where I am, I'd have to travel to like maybe downtown, which I'm not terribly far from, or, the Heights or different areas where Black-owned stuff is. But I've seen some black owned stuff closed. Like there was this restaurant that I really liked, really good service and everything closed. So, but so he was basically saying black people, people don't typically like to travel. Every other community, they just it's a couple of miles to a store or whatever. They can probably even walk and they have what they need. But us, we do have to shop online and we should, if we don't need it right away, really to support black businesses. I know that I do. Facts Not Feeling says, I always stop and buy black. We got to. DDD says, what kind of law did you major in? So are you speaking to me? I'm not a lawyer at all. I'm a public relations, have a master's in public relations and a BA in communication. Uh, Michael said, Dimitri, have you been to Asia on Asian-owned businesses? Yes, I've been to Asian-owned businesses before. I have. And my motto is if I shop at Asian-owned businesses, they must have black people working there. That is my motto. My daughter will tell y'all can call her right now. If I walk into a situation, it's an Asian store, a lot of times I don't know if it's Asian. If I don't see black people working there, I won't shop there. She would tell you. She can call her right now. She'd be like, my mama will walk straight out, be like, I'm not shopping there. She'll tell you that's my thing. You gotta have some black money. Some black people got to be making money about the situation too. So that's my motto. You also say, have you ever had? I've been to an Asian-owned business before. Negative experience? Yes, I have. I have. I've been, back in the day, followed things like that. And I'll be honest with you, Mike, I'll try not to go into Asian stores too much at all. But yeah, I've been followed, and I've asked the lady, "Why are you following me?" Another particular time, back in the day, I was going to buy some clothes, and I told the lady. She says, "What did she say?" This is when you can write checks. Now, this was a long time ago. I wanted to write a check, and this is when they had the system where they can automatically, get money out of your check. Because she asked me first, she says, can you have a debit card? I said, I don't want to pay with a debit card. I want to pay with a check. So she says, okay. And she ended up running it as a debit anyway. Wasn't that I didn't have the money. I just wanted to write a check. Do you know I made that lady refund all my money back? I said, you don't get to decide for me how I pay. I said, I told you I want to write a check. And she's like, oh, I'm sorry. I said, you may be, but I want all the stuff is going back. And my daughter was with me. I said, and I want you to refund my money. And she did. You don't get to tell me how to spend my money. Okay. So I try to avoid it as much as possible. And Mike says, it's by design, Demetra. And Curly Girl, he says, exactly, Queen. I would have been working in one of our people's business office if we still had out wealthy towns. Yeah, we should be working for each other, right? And AJ says, yeah, say that. And Ogun says, imagine y'all woolly hair, bronze skin. Yes. And Mike says, we are our God, God's chosen. We are God's chosen people. Deuteronomy 7:6. Yes, indeed. And Moni says, no man should be speaking against child support. If you are doing what you're supposed to, then you should make sure you have a good lawyer. You don't lay down with low life women looking for a bag and pay the cost. You said it better than I ever could. Wendell says we'd be much better off. We were punished for trying to learn how to read and write. This would have helped us to have knowledge to earn money and resources. Yes, indeed. In fact, Not Feeling says integration was the worst thing that happened to blacks. Imagine someone kidnapped you and abused you for 4 years. Integration was one of the worst things. I would say slavery is probably number one. But yeah, integration, we thought that was going to help us, I don't know what we thought it was going to. We wanted to be with white people, I guess. And look how that's worked for us since, right? Pamela says, we literally had crowns to wear, but that was stolen too. Yes, indeed. Mike says, the bad apples in our community is called the 2/3. Do tell. And yes, the grocery outlets. Yes, so that grocery outlet, a lot of those are black, they're franchises. So they're black owned, but the franchise is, really a white conglomerate, if you will. But it is a franchise. I will say that. Hello, JH. He says, say it. And AJ says, right. They wouldn't be practicing group economics. Dr. Claude said that. Hello, Miss Pamela. How are you doing? Happy New Year to you as well. And Brother Jonell says, we are royal. We just degraded mentally, but we were found in royal positions and have been Taken from the elevated state of mental being, that's just facts. We are supreme beings, and the black women under divine mental elevation is the conveyor naturally of supreme beings. In the nation, we believe in the mental elevation of all women. A nation can rise no higher than this woman, as the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the Honorable Farrakhan teaches and producing. I think your comment cut off, but you're absolutely right. And Michael says, Demetra, what do you mean by kick it? So when I say lie to kick it, that's an old school saying. When people say don't lie to kick it, it's like you ain't got to lie to hang out. Just be yourself, right? That's that's like from the 80s. I remember that's from as long as the 80s saying you ain't got to lie to kick it. Like just be yourself, right? Don't try to say you're doing more than you are. Just relax, be yourself thing, right? Like just be you. That's what that means. Mike says benign neglect, Demetra. Okay. Notorious Hebrew says put on your new mind and be transformed by the renewing of your mind. As a man thinketh, so is he. Yes, that's actually one of my favorite books by James Allen. As a man thinketh, it is from a biblical principle. It's not a big, long book, but it basically says, as you think, so are you, right? So we need to be sure to think positively and, all of that kind of stuff. And Mickey, how are you doing? It says Gangsta Boo. Lola Mitchell Rip. So who was Lola Mitchell? All these people really dying today? Who was Lola, if you don't mind me asking? Pamela says, we don't need either party. We need each other. You better believe it. Ogun says, that's the thing. We need to be doing the same thing so we can stop going to their stores and their areas. Yep. And DDD says the carrot scenario was dead on. Also, like the greyhound races, the dog chases the fake rabbit and never catches it. That's exactly what it is. We are the greyhound. You know what I mean? And we need not to be. And everybody loves Jerome. How are you doing? And only in America, how you doing? Notorious Hebrew says, I wasn't speaking about you. No, I know you was. I know you were speaking the facts, not feelings. That took me aback too. It's like the government should pay for you getting horizontal with somebody, whether you're a man or a woman, and you like, I'm out of here. Nah. Because see, then what? I mean, I honestly think that child support really should serve as birth control. I know it would be for me, right? If I was a deadbeat woman, or you deadbeat man, and you just want to lay down and have fun, that would be birth control for me. Because, like, damn, if I get knocked up, or you a man, you knock somebody up, and then they don't work out, they come after you for child support, that should be birth control. Because 18 to 22 years, depending on how long you got to pay it, that's a lot of money for a good time, right? For a oops, I wasn't really trying to be with you. I don't know. It says that's awesome, Demetra. And Oguni says, I used to preach these knuckleheads on the streets about all of this, but it's just fall on deaf ears. Deaf ears, rather. That's when I realized I just preached to the willing ears elsewhere, where the unwilling ears are not present. Yeah, you know what? If we just reach one person, then we've done our job, right? Everybody ain't gonna listen. Some people will. Emmanuel Briggs, how you doing? Says Rip Anita Pointer. Yes, very sad news. Sound like she died of cancer. Brother Jonell says it's not a holiday in America that Black people don't die during or around. Pay attention, as in the past of this white nation, their holidays are rooted in the death of Black people. As the Honorable Elijah Muhammad taught, they're not a holiday of white nation that Black people should be found celebrating. Check the Black death tally during these European holidays. Is not a coincidence. Yeah, because like what's really going on, right? And Mike says, yep, below the 60 freeway, Demetra. Yep. Trust me, I know Riverside like the back of my hand. That's primarily where I grew up, Riverside, California. Jarrell, how you doing? He says, I recommend people also watch the Dane Calloway's channel, Black Americans Are the True American Indians. It's time to reclaim this land. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot about him. And I guess I have to check him out once very soon. Super Patriot says, it's good to have standards. You got to. And Ogun says, eat natural probiotic foods like yogurt, spinach, ginger for upset stomach, Demetra. I'm glad you feel better. Yeah, I haven't really eaten much this week. This tomorrow, I'm supposed to be starting a water diet with my sister. We're going to take it one day at a time. We don't see. But thank you. Moni says, I have been seeing that nasty woman talking about she didn't leave. I just got done re-mopping all of my floors. I did it at 12 midnight and redoing it again. I made sure I had my shower. Oh gosh, you're talking about that lady that don't take a shower. Uh, and Michael says, I thought you want 100% black owned business. Um, yeah, that's the idea, right? 100% on black business. You mean as far as shopping there or going there? Yeah, I mean, all of it is idea, all of it black owned. I would love to never have to shop anywhere else again but a black business. That would be my ideal way to spend money. Ogun says, and it's antibacterial food as well. Yeah, I'm as always, first of the year, working on cleaning up my diet. I'm going back vegan. I think I want to. Moni says quite a few of us, Demetria, are waking up because we are able to see the oppressor class does to us and what they're doing, not doing for us, and the election show that they don't have a heavy turnout for black people. I've heard that as well. Brother Don says Dane makes statements that is playing out lies. He doesn't have any genuine receipts and runs from those who do. Oh, Notorious Hebrew. You say integrated into the third ring of hell. Oh Lord. Super Pager says, didn't they sell BET to a white dude? That was funny. Yes. Millard, how are you doing? And Brother Jonelli says also his book As a Woman Think It by James Allen. Really? I didn't know that. I have to check that out. And Truemonger says, and Robert Johnson still regrets selling BET. Yeah, because he was not too long ago talking about reparations, what we should get, right? Yeah, he should have kept it. Tiffany, how you doing? He says, you ain't got to lie to kick it. Don't, yeah. I say that a lot. You ain't got to lie to kick it. That I'm telling you, was saying that as long as I can remember since the 1980s. You ain't got to lie to kick it. Let's see, Moni says, but at the same time, Republicans had it 39 years. They didn't pass nothing to benefit blacks. I'm glad that it will be all Democrat for the state of Michigan, which is good for us. Well, hopefully, they do something. It doesn't matter what party is in as long as they do something for black people, right? Now, see, Tiffany, you going way back with perpetrating a fraud. You took it way back. Are you from California, by the way? And Mickey, he said, Lola is Gangsta Boo's government. Oh, okay, government name. Golly, that is horrible. Shot. That is crazy. And DDD says a lot to be said for common sense. My mama used to always say common sense ain't so common. Everybody ain't got common sense. But my mom used to tell me all the time, she goes, out of all my 4 children, you're the one with the most common sense. Now, I don't know if she was saying I was dumb everywhere else because my other siblings, they're like certified, what do you call it? They went to, in California, they call it the GATE program, where they're gifted. They're like certified gifted people. Me, not so much. But she said, you have the most common sense. So I'll take it. You also say Fred Sanford said it many times. You big dummy. Yeah, my brother really loves that saying. You big dummy. And Walter, he's on here Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. Where he gives a lot of financial advice. Of course, is live, and we have conversations with the audience as well. Walter, he's a lot. He does not bite his tongue, even though I'm trying to get him to bite it just a little bit. You know what I mean? To kind of back up off the gas a little bit, but he'll be here Wednesday nevertheless. Let's see here. And I'm just going to skip down a little bit to the bottom so I could catch up. We are 2 minutes to the 2-hour mark, and I love and appreciate y'all so much for being here on the first of the year. Let's see here. Moni says, when Democrats in my state of Michigan have a heavier rule, they rule for more changes that benefit blacks in my states in small ways, but it does help for better than the Republicans in Michigan. Well, I'm glad to hear that. Michael says, you mentioned that Asian businesses need to employ some black people, and you are contradicting yourself. Well, I'm saying for me to go in there and spend money, especially if they're in our neighborhoods, I would think that they should. I'll say I get it. I get why they don't. They're practicing group economics. But for me to go in there, yeah, you're going to have to have you're going to have to have some sisters or brothers or something up in there to some degree. That's just my litmus test for spending money with them. Now, I know somebody say, well, what about Kroger? It's not black owned, but yeah, there is a black owned grocery store in Houston. I did go on this grand opening. They ain't had no groceries in there. They had like lotions and soaps and candles. And I bought some things, but I'm like, well, I would probably starve if I shopped at this grocery store. Maybe, they'll get it up and running where I can go and actually buy some food up in there. And it's a ways from me too. So I traveled, I don't know, it's about 30 minutes from me. And I went and I was like, this ain't nothing but a swap meet, a flea market, which was cool. I just thought I was going to come out there with some groceries. And so, I hope that helps. Um, and let's see, AJ says, Get Assist is starting. I'm starting a Mother Nature cleanse tomorrow with my coach. Water fast is egregious. My brother Walter, who is battling cancer, he did a 21-day water fast, nothing but water. And I saw him when I was in California. I was like, damn, you done drunk your ass off. You ain't your ass is gone. Like literally, he ain't got no ass. It's just he's skinny. And he said he likes it. I like being this small. I'm like, maybe gain like 5 more pounds, so your pants will stay up. But bigger bottoms run in my family, and he ain't got none. So I don't know if I want to do that. I want to keep my butt. Mike says, if Black folks will wake up and realize who we are and unite, we would be all right. The reason why we are the most hated because we have a covenant with the Most High. I could dig it. And our neighbor, how are you doing? And Brother Jonell says, just look at how long Viacom has had it and a wealth it has given. It has served mainly negative programming to our people. Viacom, right? Exactly. Michael says, Dimitri, I'm from California, but I understand the issue that most Black people from your state. I mean, I honestly don't know how Black people in California are surviving unless you just got a lot of money. It's a lot. And I was just there. And Ogun says, I'm sure we'll love it as it goes along. I had multiple cleansing. And first, I didn't like it either, but I love it after. It felt like $1,000,000. Yeah, that's what I'm looking forward to. I'm just feeling much better. Let's see here. Mike says, I was in Riverside, California, Dimitri Friday. I grew up in Altadena, California. It costs some money to live there too in Altadena, Pasadena, all the Dinas. It takes a lot of money to live there. Riverside too, unfortunately. I was looking at some real estate when I was there. And I used to actually, I don't know if you're familiar with the Wood Street area, Mike, but I used to I owned a house in the Wood Street, and I wish I still had it. A house in the Wood Street area, which is a historic part of the city. And I looked at this house, 2-bedroom, 1-bath, $600,000, Riverside. And there was another one that was 5-bedroom, 2-bath, I think, in that area, almost $1,000,000. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna be in Houston until further notice. And Brother Donnell says, don't turn down, turn up. And Mike says, Kroger just brought Albertsons. Yes, there's not that many of those left. I try to really go to like Sprouts and Whole Foods, and sometimes Trader Joe's. I'll be right up in there with the white people, because as they say, the food by the area codes in those neighborhoods, they ain't gonna give them the bad stuff. They gonna give them the good stuff, because who shops there? Predominantly white people with money, and people who got a little bit of something and trying to eat better. That's where I'm at. And I'm like, how are we doing today? So yeah, I try to shop there. I go to Kroger sometimes though. And as Jan Michael says, exactly. And Tiffany says, thanks, Demetra. No, not that side, but it's all good in the hood. See, now you wild and you going way back. DDD says, Walmart rumored to start charging for bags. Well, California is true. They charging for bags. They've been charging for bags for years. I was there, like I said, a couple of days ago, and where was I? The grocery store. And I'm like, damn, I forgot we got to pay for bags. I'm like, how many bags you want? Just give me one. 10 cents a bag. So yeah. Marty says, Demetra, man was brutally gunned down no more than 2 hours, couple of hours ago. I hope you'll cover it. Please start wearing your lipstick. All of this new year is sexy and pretty on you. It's your signature. I'll wear my, next time I record, I'll wear my red lipstick for you. I'll do that for you. But unfortunate, Marty, I'm one of those people, try not to cover a lot of deaths, if that makes any sense. I know I have to, doing what I do. But sometimes it does get to me, to cover such destruction of our people. But if I come across it, I'll look at it. AJ says, wow, same here. Says, I got to keep my back portion. You know what I'm saying? You can't just be in a water diet and you don't got nothing left. True Margaret says, gotta monitor yourself with the water fasting. It will clean you out, but it could also deplete you of minerals. Yeah, my brother, I guess he was taking electrolytes or whatever it was. So yeah, you do have to monitor. So I don't think I'm gonna do 21 days. Listen, I ain't gonna lie to kick it. I'm probably gonna do a day and be like, I got to have me a salad or something. You know what I mean? I'm gonna try though. Uh, and let's see here. Ogunya says, much love and appreciation to you, Demetra. Y'all blessed to you and all of your brothers and sisters here. Yes, indeed. All of our brothers and sisters here. Yes, indeed. Back at you. One says, Demetra, it's time for us to get into our prayer and let's take it serious to reveal evil and demonic. You can't go out unless you're being gunned down every aspect, and I'm tired of it. You know what? I don't leave this house until I pray. I pray for all my friends, my family, people I don't know. I pray for traveling grace and mercy. I say, Father God, please protect us all. Keep your angels of protection around us so that no harm, hurt, nor danger will come to any of us. I say that every day because you're right, we have to. So yes, indeed. True Margaret says, are there any farmer markets near you, Demetra? I heard there was. I said this year I'm going to start getting out more. I love farmers markets in California. There's a whole lot of them. I love farmer markets. Even if I don't buy anything, I just like to be out there in the atmosphere. It's just a different vibe of people too. At farmers markets, so I love them. So in the spring, hopefully when the weather is better, I do plan on visiting some of them. AJ says, my brother was telling me how expensive it is to live in Encino. Ooh, Encino. Ain't that where Michael Jackson was living? Encino, Michael Jackson, the Jacksons, they moved to Encino. Says my brother lives in Torrance. Yes. Says he can't afford it. I'll definitely will keep visiting him though. I won't live in Cali. Yeah, if he lives in Torrance, he definitely can afford it. Mike says, I know the Wood Street area. A lot of blacks did not lose their houses during the 2008 housing crisis, Demetra. So I'm one of them. I actually had to do a short sale on my house. I ended up losing my job. It was just a lot going on. Plus, all of that was taking place. I actually kept it after actually that happened in like 2010 where I had to short sell my house. I wish I still had it. I bought it for $199,000. That thing is probably worth $600,000 now easily. But you know what? I'll get another one back if I so choose to live over there. I believe it will happen. If I really want to go back, I'll be able to live in the house of my dreams. I'm speaking into existence. But very nice neighborhood. Let's see here. And Michael, you say, why do you need to pray when you have a weapon of self-defense? Well, as my father always says, prayer ain't worth a damn at a bear meeting. So you need both. You need prayer and you need something while you're praying. You know what I mean? So yes, indeed. Moni, we do need to stock up on our beans and our water and everything else. AJ says, I'm working on living in Nigeria in the next few years, putting things in place right now. I'm hating on you. Anybody that's going back to the motherland, I'm hating. And Brother Sammy, how are you doing? It says, you're about to do Queen Afua's 21-day detox. I need to look into that. I love Queen Afua. I need to see. I might be able to do something like that. But water fast, the 5-star review. How are you? He says, we grew up going to farmers markets in Georgia. I love them. Brother Jonell says, in all things, stay balanced. Add some limit to your water. Make sure what you eat is life-giving. We truly in this nation have wisely watch what we eat, especially before we chew on it. Yep. And I think that's important. How to eat to live, both volumes, really good information in there. Dr. Sabi, there's a whole lot of people out there that is giving us the game on how to eat better. We should be more conscious of the things that we put in our body, right? We wouldn't put just any kind of gas in our car because it's not going to act right. Well, the same thing is true for our bodies. And so I really want to be mindful of that because I want to be here a little bit longer. So Mike says there's a big farmers market in Fontana. I don't know if I've ever been to the farmers market in Fontana. I might have. I just don't remember. Brother Samuel, also, yeah, you corrected your comment. And let's see here. Moni says, I hope you'll be okay. Please keep yourself tested with that virus because it's back up and running hard, at least Michigan, Ohio, and New York. Much Detroit. Love to you. And Donovan, love you both. Love you too, Moni. Yeah, I don't have COVID. Everybody's like, you have COVID? No, I ain't got COVID. I didn't get a test. I just don't believe I have it. Um, I'm still kind of suffering with it, but I don't believe that I have COVID. I think I'm immune to it, thank God. But then again, what do I know? AJ says, "Oh, Demetri, you definitely can come visit me and love as soon as and my love. Ooh, I like that. As soon as we get settled. Yes, I'd love to come to. I'm Nigerian. My DNA test said that I'm from Nigeria. So yes, I'm gonna go home." And DDD says, "Doctor's advice: if it tastes good, spit it out." Okay, you ain't lying because that's what we think. All this food is supposed to, taste salty and sweet. Yeah, whole food really is natural. It don't have all that going on. So anyway, that was the last comment. I love and appreciate all of y'all. Y'all do please have a good rest of your evening. I am going to go take a load off so I can get up in the morning and work. Of course, I will be back on here Tuesday, the podcast with Donovan, and of course, live Wealth Wednesdays with Walter. Look for my comment. And you guys, I want to ask you this. If y'all can give me some suggestions on content that y'all would like to see, I'm actually going to put up a thing in the community asking for content because I'm kind of stuck with content, right? Like you kind of try to want to do fresh things, but I want to see what you guys want to talk about. So I'm going to put up a survey or something like that in the community tab asking you all what kind of content and subjects you guys want to cover. Because when I say you guys, you all, are having this conversation with me, Donovan, or Walter, whoever's on here. So I will do that. I will feel better soon, you guys. Thank you so much for all the information, steam, and everything. I'm going to feel better. Brother Sam says, speaking of 21-day fast, I find it interesting that men say chew your food 21 times before you swallow it. I tried that yesterday and it didn't work because I'm greedy, right? It was a salad. So I was like, damn, how many times can you chew lettuce? It wasn't that often, but I'm gonna work on it. So anyway, I love y'all. Have a great rest of your day, and I will see y'all later. Peace.